This is the third part of a series of class notes on simplifying square roots, and these are the outline of the different videos. The first one is on simplifying square roots and talked a little bit about square roots in general. The second one is on multiplying square roots, and the third one is on adding and subtracting square roots. So let's look at the idea of adding and subtracting square roots. Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to come up with an idea of like terms, right? So we say that terms are alike. Usually the way we think of it is we think of the example 2x plus 6x. 2x plus 6x is 8x. And what allows you to add 2x and 6x is the fact that they both have the same variable. And that contrasts with terms which are unlike. You can go unlike or not like terms. Maybe not like terms is the easiest way to say it. Would be 2x plus 5y. Or another example would be 3x plus 7. If you notice here, these terms are not alike because one has an x and one has a y. These are not alike because this has an x and this doesn't. So that's the idea of like terms. Well, with square roots, you have the same idea. Let's look at that square roots and let's look at terms which are like and which ones are not like. So let's say we had 6 square root of 3 plus 10 square root of 3. And contrast that with 5 square root of 3 plus 7 square root of 2. We said these are alike terms because they have the same root with the same argument, right? This is a square root of 3, square root of 3. Now, if you have 6 of something and 10 of something, you have 16 of something. So if you have 6 square root 3's and 10 square root 3's, you can almost imagine putting a red box around both of these and say if you had 6 red boxes and 10 red boxes, you would have 16 red boxes. But here, instead of 16 red boxes, we have 16 root 3's. Similarly, if you had 10 square root of 5 minus 3 square root of 5, you can imagine a red box. These are like. So we have 10 of something, we subtract 3 of something, that means we have 7 of that thing left. So 10 root 5 minus 3 root 5 is 7 root 5. Contrast that with 5 root 3 and 7 root 3. Here, if we look at the root terms, they're not alike, right? So they can't be added. Same thing if you had 10 square root of 6 plus 8. You can't add these because this has a root 6 and this one doesn't. So let's look at the rules for simplifying roots when you're adding or subtracting. And we're going to only talk about square roots, though a lot of the same rules apply when you have roots larger than square roots. So if you're going to add or subtract square roots, let's think about what that would mean. So the first step we're going to do is you're going to combine like terms. So let's do 6 plus 4 square root of 3 plus 10 minus 5 square root of 3. Here you have like terms. 6 and 10 are alike, so that's 16. 4 root 3 and 5 root 3, they both have the same root here, so you combine them. So here you have 4 and minus 5, so that's minus 1 root 3. That's an example. And let's contrast that with 10 plus 5 root 3 plus 6 minus 2 root 7. The 10 and the 6 are like, so that's 16. But this one has a root 3 and this one has a root 7. Those are not alike, so you're not going to be able to combine those. So you're just going to be able to go 16 plus 5 root 3 minus 2 root 7. And that's the basic rule, but there isn't a complication here. And that is that what you need to do is just because it appears that there are no like terms doesn't mean there aren't any. It may be that you have to find them. So let's just do an example and then we'll write down the rules. Let's do 10 square root of 175 plus 3 square root of 700. So the first step is to combine like terms. And if you look here, this is square root of 175, square root of 700. It looks like you can't combine like terms. But what you have to do is you have to simplify any roots. And then what it turns out is, even though these aren't like yet, if you simplify them, they may become alike. So 175, you need to find a perfect square that goes into 175. So look at our perfect squares again. So actually 25, I think, goes into it. So 25, and it's 25 and I think 7. I gotta check that on my calculator. That's 25 and 7. Square root of 25 is 5, so that's 10 times 5 root 7. So that's, root 7. So that's 50 root 7. And now I need to simplify root 700. Root 700 will be square root of 7 and square root of 100. Square root of 100 is 10, so that's 3 times 10 root 7. So that's 30 root 7. So your step is first you combine any like terms. If there are no more like terms, it may be that you're done, but it may be that you're not. So next you have to simplify all the roots, and then after you simplify all the roots, then combine like terms again. And then you'll be done. So in this case we have root 7 and root 7. Those are alike, so then you have 80 square root of 7. And that's your final answer. 80 square root of 7. Let's look at another example. Let's look at an example which is fairly long. Let's look at 6 square root of 25 plus 3 square root of 40 plus 6 square root of 18 minus 12 square root of 90. First thing I do is I try to combine any like terms. I can't combine any like terms, so the next thing I do is I'm going to simplify square roots. This one's actually easy. In fact, this one's so easy sometimes students get this wrong. Square root of 25 is 5, so that's 6 times 5, so that's just 30. Now I want to simplify each one of these roots. I want to be very careful. So that's square root of 4 and square root of 10. So that's 3 times 2 square root of 10. Why is it 2? Because square root of 40 splits into square root of 4 times square root of 10, and square root of 4 is 2. So it becomes 2 times root 10. So that one becomes 6 root 10. And this becomes 30. Square root of 18, that's going to be 9 and 2. Square root of 9 is 3, so that's 6 times 3 times root 2, so that's going to be 18 root 2. And the square root of 90, that's 9 and 10. That's 3, so that's 12 times 3 root 10. And that's a minus, so it's minus 36 root 10. So now I've got all the different roots simplified. I can't simplify root 10 anymore, or a square root of that 2. So now I'm going to see if there's any like terms. It turns out that this and this are like terms because this has a square root of 10 and this has a square root of 10. This is not a like term with n, because it's a square root of 2. So I have 30, 6 root 10, and minus 36. It's like this. If you had $6 and subtracted $36, then you would have minus $30. If you had 6 apples, but you owed 36 apples, then you would be 30 apples behind. It's nothing more than that. 6 root 10 minus, that's minus 6 root 10 minus 36 root 10 is minus 30 root 10. Plus 18 root 2. There's nothing more you can simplify. So that's your answer right there. And that's how you add or subtract square roots.